What?
Other people
We're about to start.
I know, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's up?
Come
Oh, thank you.
Just for the record, Mr. Phoebe just presented Mrs. Fields with some flowers, I assume for something wonderful that she's done. And I guess I will call.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
You have to wait for the recording.
She's already recording.
Yeah.
You're already
Oh,
recording, correct? Yeah, okay,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't
thought
hear
she
it.
was. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, the committee of the whole meeting for October 1st, 2025 to order at 6 o'clock. Westfall.
Here.
Block,
Here.
Fields,
Here.
Moore is here, Mordarski. Absence, Morris
Present.
and Schufelt.
Here.
Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we have the agenda, board and discussion items. Any, well, that's,
Yep.
yeah, over the good news.
Revisions and approval of the agenda, policy number 0166. Is there a motion to approve?
I would
Or are
just-
there any revisions?
Yeah, I would like to add good news, back in there. Chris Simons is here to talk about homecoming. So just
Okay.
add that in and then I'll make a motion to approve.
No,
All right.
he needs to wait until audience participation because he was late.
I put you in on good news, Chris.
Okay, we have a
You're
revision.
next.
We have a revision to add good news, so that will be Roman numeral 4 per Mr. Wager. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Fields. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by
You give-
Mr. Westfall. Ms. Block,
Yes.
Ms. Fields,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes,
Mr. Modarski is absent, Mr. Morris,
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt is a yes, Mr. Westfall.
Yes.
That passes 6-0.
now we're gonna move on to committee updates. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I got good news now already. You're up. It doesn't take much to confuse me these days.
And he's before.
That was pretty bad.
Definitely good news, so, thank you for getting me in, let's try and look at my schedule. I have 3 games on the 15th at the high school, so, and then plus I'm moving, so it's just like a lot of little things I'm leaving town, so it's like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about, homecoming. Well, first thing I like to say is we won our game, which is the first one in 3 years. We definitely saved it. It was a great game. 2 weeks before, we lost the Wyandotte by 7-0 at the very end. So we're making some good strides. I think a lot of it too is we're starting to get more kids out, for football and so forth. So working with the middle school program and then also, as you see next door, trying to build those relationships to keep our kids together is definitely helping out, doing youth night, bringing them in for pizza, letting them run around. Before I get into the good things about the homecoming, some of the things that, I need to improve on for next year, homecoming is, definitely how to handle groups of kids a little bit better, maybe, and not having those type of big parties during that time, just because you have 50 middle schools running around with their jerseys and no parents. It makes a little bit of a uneasy thing when everyone's on edge. So maybe I'll schedule that on a different day with the coaches, have them come on an off homecoming game. So that's something we'll do next year. Obviously love to have them with parents because, kids are running around and so forth. So that's one thing definitely to improve on. And then the hospitality tent, a lot more grab and go stuff instead of luxury subs and so forth. So it kind of made a little bit of a mess, but that's my fault. So that's what I'll improve on for next year for sure. The great thing is, obviously, we won the game. Security was great. You know, Michelle Marshall had 4 people from LaGuardia. These 4 LaGuarded people actually, you know, they did a great job. They stayed in the area, made sure people were there. The good thing about having them in a uniform is the people see them in a uniform, they know it's security. It's not just someone in a standing up, telling someone to sit down. So being recognized is really big. The gates were all covered, so people couldn't come in and out without being the credentials. The backpack rule that we enforced this year is no kids with backpacks. You know, it's something that we're doing as a Downriver League this year. Most of the schools have adapted it. We definitely have. Our players, what I do for them is I put it in the garage. If they want to bring their backpack in after a practice, they want to stay for a game, we keep it in the concession stand for them, give it back to them at the end of the day. In the past, we had issues with kids bringing in alcohol and so forth and whatnot. So the less stuff we can, you know, have on them, the better off the security and nature of it is and the smooth flowing that we have. Over the off season, we bought barricades and some more things to organize traffic, which is really huge. Being able to have the traffic go really smoothly in and out, concession stand line, people aren't bumping into each other, cords running through the aisleways and so forth for trip hazards. All that was really done really nicely and with my staff and, you know, the daytime maintenance people really helped set up for success that day. I call them floats, but I guess you call them little barns now that are put together. Very nice, but another thing I want to add on is they have a 5-day expiration date. So like today, there's still 2 of them. And of course, I got kids in there playing patty cake bakers, man, trying to be in and out of there, jumping over top of the counters and so forth. So I'll make sure I add that to my list of next year's things to do. Other than, you know, no issues, which is, I think we did $5,000. That's people that paid at, I think 4,600 amount, I think was the total number that was brought in. And that's, we don't charge the football teams, the, you know, middle school and so forth, you know. So definitely had a good turnout for that. Another thing I'm very proud of is basically how the staff, everyone worked together. The administration was great. You know, they kept their eye out, being on the track, being able to help, you know, everything from the principals to teachers. Like Ian Warren was, you know, helped me out a little bit. I've seen a couple people sneaking on the other side, get on the track. I have a no track policy for anyone, unless you're a coach or a player. If you are on the track, credentials is that if you want to take pictures, you got to go through our office and we give you a badge to wear. That means that you're doing either for yearbook or, you know, free press or sometimes new heralds come out. Those are the only people that are allowed on the track because obviously you don't want too many people close to the football game itself. But overall, I'm very proud of, you know, how everything went, how smooth it went. Everything from security to concession stands. And I love how many teachers came out and administrators and people got a chance to, you know, come. The parade beforehand was on point. The bands were great, smoothest, the police. I mean, I'm very happy how things went. I couldn't regret not doing anything we did differently other than those 2 little things. But thank you very much for having me come talk to you guys about it. But it's only going to get better. So I promise you guys that.
Good, thank you.
Thank
Chris,
you.
I want to say, like, I've been to lots of homecomings in my career and all, I've been part of lots of them over there. I think this was one of the smoothest ones that I've
Yeah.
seen. So that's a credit to you and your organization and
I also,
what you put into it. So I wanted to thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
I want to
Thank you.
piggyback on Mike because I know I helped at the
Yes.
gate and people were complimenting on there was never a line. And so we ran that pretty smoothly. So whatever that flow was, that worked really well.
Yeah, it
So.
definitely keeps, when people can see where to go, you don't have the confusion. It's,
Yep.
you know, smooth and you have the signs up front that smack you in the face, say, hey, don't bring your backpack.
Yeah.
And you see.
My only suggestion I just kept saying when I was there was the exit. Everybody wanted to exit the entrance and we were like, no, you can't. Like,
Right.
so to have like an exact, like, this is the exit, this is the entrance would be very,
Yeah, that's
That would
one
be
thing, you
much
only having
more.
those 2 gates unless you go all the way down. But if we have an emergency issue, trying to get everyone out of the way for the ambulance already there, they need
Yep.
to leave right away. So it's just one of those things that in the future, you know, we'll
Yeah.
have
And I
better.
think in the future design of the entranceway, it
Yeah.
has that.
yeah,
It
there's
has
gonna
that
be like a
size.
designated entrance and exit
Yeah.
with the new facility, but that was like the only ever hiccup
Yeah,
at the gate was like when people were trying to leave, when we had people trying to come in,
right.
but it ran real good.
Yeah, but no, I thank you guys for your help. So thank you again,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Very
you.
much appreciated.
Thank you. Good job. Now we're gonna move on to committee updates. Facilities, grounds, improvements, transportation committee, Kathy.
Okay, under the, first of all, did anybody notice that Kennedy's Field is clear? No cement, no weeds? I want to thank Mr. Ron Thede and Mr. George Smith. They're both retired DPW workers, and I believe their crew. Would you stand? That came out in, what was it, 2 days, 3 days, 2 days? You got it all done in one day?
Nice job.
Wow. Well, you did a phenomenal job. We really do appreciate it, and we thank you so very much. The scheduled roofs are now complete. The tile replacement, has been completed, in Randall and Holland and upstairs here at the board office. There also is going to be an emergency bid put out for boiler heating top line, and that's on Holland's roof. On the grounds, you already talked about Kennedy. Bids are moving on, for moving the playground equipment from E Heights to Randall. They're out and they're scheduled to be opened on October 13th. And the recommendation will be brought to the board on October 15th. The huge hole at McDowell has been filled, addressed and filled. And then, let's see, Johnson will be the first parking lot to be addressed with the asphalt, and that's coming up. And then in transportation, we did receive the 4 full-size buses. I even got pictures of them at 9 o'clock at night. He was so thrilled about getting those buses. And the bus patrol has not started due to a Wayne County issue. Michelle, has that moved at all, the bus patrol? So it's still sitting at the county level. Okay, so,
Yeah.
well, as soon as they figure it out.
I say, Michelle and I met about this. We did some revisions of the MOU that's going to the police department and bus patrol.
Right.
And then we resubmitted out those revisions. We're kind of waiting for everybody to come back together on it, but
And that's the program where there's the cameras on the arms that will be taking pictures of people blowing past these buses. And then they'll be mailed a ticket. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully that will prevent anything else. And that's all I have for facilities.
Okay, any questions? Let's move on to finance, Kathy.
We had our meeting on the 18th. Dr. Hill is finishing up with the auditors for this year. When the audit is complete, a presentation will be given by the auditor. Stacy Vespremi updated the committee on the current status of the state and federal funding, which is still fluid. And she will be presenting next board meeting, Mike?
that's what we're hoping for. But again, it's very interesting right now as we're sitting with different shutdowns at different levels of government. So I'm sure she's watching a very close eye.
Well,
That's
my
what's more
suggestion
appreciated.
for Stacy was, even though it's fluid, I think the board should be updated in
Correct.
where we stand at this
Yep,
point,
absolutely.
knowing full well it may,
Yeah, hopefully shutdowns will be over by.
Hopefully.
and that's all I have.
Yep.
At the-
Any questions for Kathy regarding finance committee? All right, we'll move on to the policy committee. And Sue.
Okay, we had our meeting on September 22nd at 1 PM and we discussed 9 different policies. Starting with policy 2418, sex education, the much discussed CF board. And we discussed admin rigs, and that was turned over to our legal counsel, but we It is posted to the website, but Mike is gonna give you.
Yeah, I'll give a little more update on that. So, in terms of the policy regarding the sex ed advisory board, one of the things that we looked at is whether the policy in place matches what is required by the Michigan compiled laws. And in that review, it is spot on for what is covered under Michigan law. We then took a look at behind the scenes of every policy that exists for the school board is a admin regulation, and that's how do we enforce it at our level, at the administration level of the school district? How do we then go and enforce the policy that is approved by the school board? When we reviewed that, there were a couple things in there. It matched the law, but there was a couple things that just were not defined very clearly. And that's where we made a recommendation that there were some things that needed to be clear. And one of them is because in the admin reg, it would say membership selection process. And that's the only 3 words that were given towards how do you select members for the group. So what we did is we added a paragraph that is going to address how that selection is going to take place. We also added a section as well that, let's say, if through that membership selection process, there were some irregularities, there is a process of appealing and being able to take that forward and say, hey, I noticed that this happened because of this, and then that a appeal could be requested if somebody did not make it onto the committee. All those pieces were put in the admin reg. It's not normal that we share out admin regulations, but this one we will be. It's going to go up on the website tomorrow. Because again, I believe we've heard the community very clearly that they want to see transparency in this process. So that admin reg will be on the website tomorrow. In addition to that, the process for selection is going to go out tomorrow as well. There will be a communication from my office, and it's going to have the letter, and it's going to have an application for people who are interested in both serving on the sex ed advisory board or being the chair of the, a co-chair, I should say, of the sex ed advisory board. So all that information will be going out to everybody tomorrow.
And when are the applications due? Do you
Oh,
remember?
man, you're testing my
I
memory.
want to
but
say the 19th.
I would say I can
I
double
did
check
do
my
that.
communication.
I was just doing it for community.
Yes. I'm glad you did. Let me,
Yeah,
Okay,
October 10th is what we have for
Okay.
the applications.
okay, our next 3 policies, 5610, 5610.03, and 5611 were all kind of taken together. And that was referred over to our legal counsel, which the update has come back, but we haven't had time to review it. So we will review that at the next meeting. Okay, policy 8805. Surveys went out to the parents and secondary students, and we will be forming a policy because there was really no policy in place for that.
Correct. This is the quasi-political symbols. So again, we put surveys out to the parents, staff, and secondary students to get input on that. Essentially, we did give a directive that we are neutral classroom spaces. We talked about that at a previous board meeting. That is still where we are as a school district, but this is something that we need to define in policy and make sure it is clear going forward. So we're in that process. And as soon as we have the data from those surveys, and as soon as, and I shouldn't say as soon as on this one, because we already have the legal interpretation from our law firm, but we're going to take all that to the policy committee, flesh out what that should look like, and then that would come before the board for adoption from there. But we're in the process of developing that.
It went out just to parents.
So it went to
Secondary.
parents, secondary students, and staff. And one of the reasons it didn't go beyond where that's at is, and I wrestled with this a lot when I was putting these surveys together. So we live in a digital age where things are easily shared and it's easy for other people to weigh in when this is really our local community issue. This is something that we need to be hearing from people within our school district. And other than going and hiring a polling firm, which costs like $15,000, there isn't a good way to be able to put that gap to make sure that people from, say, California or Texas or New York are weighing in on our local survey. So I made the decision that it really needed to be focused on parents, so that it is truly a reflection of this community and of our local things, because, you know, as anything goes and gets out there on the web, it's very easy for people to weigh in that shouldn't be there. And trust me, it was easier on the secondary student survey and the staff survey, because to get into those surveys, you need your district provided email. And I will tell you, I have received requests to get into the student survey from students in other school districts. So again, that was why we were trying to keep this as we're getting feedback from our community. And like I said, it really wasn't an easy decision, but ultimately that's what we want. We didn't want this to be a broader referendum for other things going on in this country. This is about our community and making decisions that are right for our community. Yeah, no, I thank you for asking that.
Okay, the next one's, policy 3122.01, drug-free workplace, policy 4122.1, drug-free workplace, and policy 3210 or staff ethics. Those were all taken together. Those were referred to legal counsel, and he is still reviewing. The ninth policy. Policy 0167.3, public participation at board meetings. As this is still a board business meeting, we were reviewing the policy as there have been some questions about our participation in public participation. Stephanie, do you have anything to add?
I know that when we left, you were gonna refer that to John
Yeah.
as well. Has he gotten
Yes.
back to you on
No,
what,
I-
like, the?
I've gotten,
See though, and
Correct.
it has been vetted.
but he got back to me on the disciplinary process ones that were mentioned earlier. I still have not heard on the others, but essentially it was just asking him to do a review to make sure everything complied with the Open Meetings Act. We're like 100% positive that it does, but just to be on the safe side, we asked for that opinion from our attorney. The reason like I said, I'm pretty much positive it's all there is because this is a Neola written policy. It's not one that is something we created at our level. It was created by a national firm that we contract with that has attorneys that work with it.
And just so that the rest of the board is aware of like what the question really was the constant back and forth with the public during the public comment. It is in our board policies that we are not to be going back and forth, and that the questions are to be taken down, recorded, and then the designee would get back to them. And so that's where we were at with
Yep.
trying to weigh in on what is the policy and how do we stand by it to make sure that our meetings are running continuously efficiently and all that, so.
Well, if I have a response, I'll be breaking board policy.
Well,
I don't have-
the other thing that we discussed was that that it would, if it was like yes or no's, or like you had the quick response, but we had to make sure that we said in there that like, this is not like your opinion might not be what I
Correct.
think,
Okay.
and so it has to be said that. How did you
I can only
phrase that?
speak for
It's on
myself.
our,
Yeah.
it's on our
Yes.
public
Yes.
Yep,
comment statement as
exactly.
well.
So those were kind of like the discussions at the policy meeting, was how do we go about that with still not going into the in-depth communication back and forth, because they're only given 3 minutes, and if you give a 3-minute response, then their 3 minutes is up. So we're trying to give them their 3 minutes to speak without cutting them off.
Well, I guess we'll discuss it when it's before us, but
Yep.
I personally will have issues with that, because when we do, if we have an answer to a question.
Yep.
I have no problem responding. And I'm sure the president has no problem extending their 3 minutes if I take 3 minutes for my response.
Well, that's-
Absolutely.
That's why we brought the policy up,
This is
because
probably a
the
convers-
policy has to be changed.
Yeah.
If that is going to be the case, which is,
Yeah.
yeah,
It will.
Okay.
so that's why it was being
Because it
taken
currently
into account.
states that it is the process of having it.
Correct,
According to our attorney, as long as we stated that we were speaking for ourselves, not the board.
Yeah.
that we could interact with the public if there was something going on.
Right.
And we did add that to the,
That
to the
should go
public
to
comment
the-
portion of the.
Correct,
Yeah.
but the whole policy is
yeah,
going to
I'm
have to
good.
be changed if that is the case.
I
Once,
think that we
once
should
the,
change it.
If
what's
this is
the
the practice
purpose
that is
of,
going forward.
Yep,
We
it
need to
should
make
be
a policy
changed.
that reflects the.
Right.
practice. And-
because
Right.
right now we're essentially breaking board policy.
That happens a lot.
Well, we're trying to stop that, so.
Thank you.
Things we're working on cleaning up for sure. Thank you.
That it?
Yep.
Any questions, any further questions? No, then we will move on to discussion items. First one will be Mr. Wager, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Secondary.
So I know this isn't out there for the community as of yet, but I know the board has received notification that Mr. Dribble has submitted his intent to retire from working within his role as in public schools at this point. So first thing I want to say is thank you, Mr. Gribble, for your last 2 years of service. I know that you have done an amazing job at expanding and finding programs for our high school students for being career ready particularly, and I have really appreciated that. And I know that's something I tasked you with very early on, like, we need to grow this, we need to push this out there. And I want to say thank you for the time and commitment you've given to Taylor Schools. The second part of this, we've had discussions as we've been going forward, and we're always reviewing positions. We're always reviewing what is best financially for the school district and what is best for us fiscally. And I believe we're at a point where we've made the decision that it is a position we are not going to replace. We are going to kind of move some of the job duties. We're going to do some shuffling of where those job duties fall within the cabinet, within myself. I will be on those. And we will start that process now that we know this is where it's going, but I wanted to bring this out for the board to be fully aware that is the plan going forward. We have had kind of a debate back and forth of whether this needs to be something that you take a vote on, saying that you are going to reduce this position, or if it's something that we can handle just on the administrative end of it. So I'm open to discussion on that, and if you felt like we need to take a vote as a board, we would put that on the next
I
agenda.
don't think we'd have to do, it's gonna affect the budget.
I think that's
I
a
would
fair
agree
point.
with that.
So.
Congratulations, by the way, Jason.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Although I'm sure you'll be pretty busy in retirement.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's still probably going to be, I'm guessing, officiating track meets, swim meets, you name it. He's gonna be out there.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
So,
I will feel retired.
Yes. Yeah.
My wife will not let me retire. So
yeah.
I have not failed at retirement, I will tell you that.
I've done my 30 years in
Yep.
public education and I've done all the work and finance components, stuff like that. And it's kind of been settled away.
You gotta get up before
Good
she
feelings.
does, go fishing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have this piece of paper, I sit next to my computer, it says gone fishing on one side and went walking on the other. I just set it on the counter, that's what I'm doing.
Fishing could help with better, see what that turns out. but
Yeah.
that's part of the plan.
Yeah. And it's the work we've done with the CTE program and expanding, I was reading their first newsletter today. Thank you,
Well,
that's what we've needed for
All right,
years.
and he has more planned yet.
Yes, yes, I look forward to seeing more.
Well, and we'll talk more if we have our.
We have curriculum meeting tomorrow,
So
for anybody.
days for you tomorrow, so we'll do behind the scenes to hopefully get the ball rolling and just going into the joint situations of the school year in regards to the program.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments?
Well, then I'll just clarify, we are gonna put it on the action items for the next board meeting, because again, that's how we design these meetings, the cow we discuss, and then we can do it 2 weeks from now. So we'll place that on there.
Also, don't we have to, doesn't it have to be on action items to accept his resignation for retirement? From
That's in the
experience,
personnel
from
report.
experience, if you don't do that,
Yeah,
he won't get processed for his pension.
yeah, but doesn't that go through the personnel report, which is?
Yeah, it's on the personnel report.
Right, but
Yeah.
has it been on there yet?
It's on there now,
It's on there
tonight.
today.
It's on there today.
I didn't get a report.
It's in the back, the very last.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's on there today.
I want to make sure you get your pension.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, wait a minute.
Okay, now are we finished?
yeah.
No questions? Any more discussion? Okay, let's move on to student reading statements, and that's you, Mr. Gribble.
Oh,
You're up.
Not retired yet.
Okay, 61 more days.
Nice. Down to go.
In your package, we have 3 students that are coming to you for reading statements. We have student 1, student 2, student number 3. I know some of you even answered the questions ahead of time. But as projected on the top page, you'll see what the committee's request was, committee's output was for those 3 students. So unless there's any other questions, and the skills you can see, I'm giving you all kinds of detail.
You did, and I thank you.
You are so
I would like just to reaffirm a yes vote is agreeing with the panel's suggestion, correct?
pardon.
An affirmative vote was agreeing with the panel's suggestion, just making sure.
Yeah.
Like the last one we had, if we did, next to the 9, you were agreeing to 9.
Okay, absolutely.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir.
Okay, any questions or further discussion? We'll move on to number 3, follow-up review, student accident insurance, and that's Dr. Hill.
Okay. I am coming to the board to get approval to obtain accident insurance for our students. Base accident insurance being $28,355, being provided by Hartford Fire Insurance Company. It is in addition to the family's insurance. It's just something in addition, and it covers just certain items. You know, for example, if there is a accidental death, then the district is able to contribute $10,000 and things like that, or dismemberment, you know, while doing an activity with the district, so that the district is able to support the family with something. And then also catastrophic accidental insurance on top of that, in an amount of $6,790.70, again, to support if anything goes wrong while they're participating in athletic activities, etc.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion from the board?
Just to clarify, this is just in addition to what they already cover for themselves, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Move on to public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to address the board with regards to what has been on the agenda so far, the action items and discussion? Anyone wishing to address the board on anything pertaining to the agenda? Go ahead. Let me read my speech here. Welcome everyone to the Taylor School District regularly scheduled committee of the whole meeting of October 1st. 2025, where our mission statement is to educate with purpose, engage with passion, empower the future, and our vision statement is that we will create a welcoming and innovative learning environment that nurtures the whole child, empowering every student to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Thank you to all of you who came to be with us tonight. We understand the importance of continuing to keep you informed and providing an opportunity for you to be heard. Public comment will begin with those in person and then move to an online audience. For those in person, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. After the in-person comment, our online audience will need to find and raise the hand symbol for our moderator to recognize and unmute you. Please take into consideration common courtesy. Refrain from any personal attacks and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. We will provide and assist with timekeeping, so each guest will be able to monitor their own time and know when to conclude, so all who wish to speak will have an equal opportunity to do so. As a reminder, if any questions arise during this meeting or through other avenues, Superintendent Wager or his designee will work to provide answers in a timely manner. Please note that the views and opinions expressed by individual board members are their own and do not necessarily represent the official position or consensus of the Board of Education. Also note, this portion of the meeting is reserved for comments regarding business discussed on this agenda only. There will be another opportunity for comments later in the meeting for general comments. Ooh. Courtney?
Courtney Prout, 9846 Catherine. I just had a couple questions on the CEB. I know that you mentioned you're gonna bring it all out tomorrow and send it all over, but you guys had a policy meeting on Monday, created a policy. Where is the policy that you're potentially proposing? Because that's my question. Like, I came here tonight to hear the policies and all she did was read some numbers and just say that you guys talked about that. Like, I guess I'm concerned that like, you said you're gonna send out these letters, you're gonna give an application. Who's reviewing those applications? Who makes that final decision? Who says that I'm good enough to be on your CEB? Like, that's something that I feel that should be answered today at this meeting, I was hoping to get an answer from that. And it's like, at this point, we don't have a CEB because we weren't operating correctly as a district. Now that we're in operation and you guys are going to start it all back up, you're going to be the people that are going to decide who gets to be on this board. Because where are those applications going? Who's that person? Who's making those decisions? And I know your policy now states that you're not going to answer back, which is fine. But I want to know, like,
I don't mind answering back, but I don't want to eat into your time, so feel free.
I want an answer. Like, I want to know because my questions are
And
gonna
I
lead
just said I
to
will,
those
but I don't
answers.
want to eat into your time. So what I'm saying to you is put out all the questions you have and then I will start.
Okay, so my second question then is with the policy that was stated earlier that you're going to change public comment and how does that work? Is there a time frame at the end that you guys have? Because prior to this board, if you came up here to speak on public comment, there was never a response back in an email ever. I filled out those papers, I gave the papers to the board, never got a response. So this way, to me, at least I'm getting somewhat of a response. But if you're gonna go back to the old way, is there a time frame that the person that is going to be answering has to respond to me? And can we make that clear? So we have a guideline as a parent when we should be getting that response back. Because that was something that I did not get with the old board or, prior to current board that just kind of answers questions as needed. And then finally, the last thing is these policies that like the staff ethics policy, is that something that's going to be put into board docs once it's created? Because again, I was hoping to come here today to hear the policies that were being changed. And I just was told a bunch of numbers and then that was it. So are these things that we'll find in the board docs once you guys choose to vote yes or no on them? And
Okay.
That's it.
That's all of them. All right.
Yep.
Thank you for doing that. Because we talked about, this is something we're trying to do to be fair to your time, is to not jump in and then eat up your 3 minutes. So what I'm going to say is the process, essentially the application is going to go out. It's going to ask for people who are interested in serving on the committee. And there's a question as well if you want to serve as co-chair. The first thing we would do is we would bring all of the co-chair candidates, everybody who's applied to be a co-chair, they would come before the Board of Education at a meeting. They would rank the applications just like we do for a board vacancy, where they go through that ranking process. And essentially the board will pick the 2 co-chairs. Once we have co-chairs in place, they would work together to go through all the other applications for whoever sits on the committee from there. So it wouldn't be the board, it wouldn't be the administration. It's going to be the 2 people who get those positions.
So the first co-chair is who?
That's to be decided by the
So
board.
you just said the co-chair, so you only have one co-chair?
No, 2 co-chairs, because one has to be a parent by law. The other is a district employee. Both will be chosen by the Board of Education based on who applies. So we don't know who they would be yet because that's going to come in the future. But they are the ones who are going to put together the committee based on that.
Okay, and is there stipulations on that? Like there certain amount, like can board members be the co-chairs like they were last time? Or like things like that? Like, can we have?
I can't speak to the last leg. That's all things that happened way back, but I'm just going to say the stipulation that we've put out there is for both co-chairs that they should have we prefer them to have some sort of medical or health background in their profession. And that is what we prefer. It's not a requirement because we also know in some communities, they struggle to fill their CEB, and to require that would be very difficult. But that is one of the preferences we put on there. Otherwise, it's going to be up to how the board ranks the candidates and how they choose from there.
Okay.
If that makes sense. All right.
It's a very interesting process. I don't agree with that, but
The second part of this, the public comment piece, I can't really speak about that because we haven't made any recommendations yet for changing that policy. So it's hard to answer and say, this is the way we're gonna do it, or we're gonna do it like the old way, when we just haven't got to that point yet. So I don't have an answer for that.
And that will have to be voted on by us anyhow,
Correct.
and there will be discussion.
Correct, absolutely.
Okay.
In my opinion, my personal.
And the staff ethics policy that got pulled, that we said we talked about on there, it got pulled to be discussed because we were talking about drug-free workplaces. And when we were going through and we were processing and looking through the policies to see how those were affected by, let's say, having an employee who we discovered was doing drugs during work hours, it didn't really affect that staff ethics policy. And that's why we didn't bring anything forward and no changes, because we were really just looking at it at this meeting with a lens of how it was affected by drug-free workplace.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board in person regarding the agenda?
Good evening. My name is Brenda Henny. And I'm a longtime resident of Taylor. I have a couple issues. One, I'd like to thank the board for sending out the survey. I love that idea. Okay, but evidently we've got people with their feathers ruffled because they didn't get one because they have no children. I understand they're taxpayers. Okay, but I feel this school belongs to our kids. This school is who is going to shape them for the future. Okay. So, you know, there are people that are concerned. I'm not. I love it. Okay. Just on this issue alone, it should stay only with parents and children. Okay. I understand they pay taxes, but this one should only stay, like I said. And the other issue I have, and I know this is a hot topic, okay? Rather they're posters, flags, whatever. The only flag or poster that needs to be in our children's school is their American flag, and that's it. Okay? No political stuff belongs in our schools. Okay? They're entitled to their own opinions, their feelings and everything, but not on our children's time. It needs to be taken down, and it needs to be taken down ASAP.
I
Okay?
believe that's already been addressed and it's been taken care of.
No, it hasn't. It's,
Okay. What?
I'm being put, I have seen a lot out on Facebook. Okay? Of course, you know Facebook.
You say,
Okay? But evidently, it's still an issue. Are the flags down? Are the banners down? Are they?
As far as I've been made aware, yes, when I've gone over there. Yes.
Okay. You know, I'm not trying to cause drama. Everybody's got different views. Okay? I like where my son goes to school. Sure, I have some issues with some of the school, but hey, we're gonna get there. Okay? Parents, children, and the school board, all three need to work together, or we're not gonna get anywhere.
Absolutely.
These kids are gonna fall between the cracks. And then everybody's gonna look at each other and say, well, not my fault, not my fault, not my fault. Baloney. It's all of our faults. So whatever everybody's got to do within the school board or whatever, I'll be willing to work with you. We've got to get some things changed at the school, or these kids aren't going to make it. My child is new, so he's a first-time high schooler. That's a big thing in a ninth grader's life, okay? You know, you got uneasiness and everything else. So let's all work together and cut out the crap. No political crap belongs on school grounds. Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to address the board in person? Hey,
Hi, my name is Ginger. I'm not really a concerned citizen, but I'm a grandparent with a couple kids in the system this year and
Did you
Taylor.
please speak into the microphone?
My name is Ginger. There, can you hear me now? I'm a grandparent and I'm also a concerned citizen. I am also a registered nurse. And I have been following not just this school district, but I have grandchildren in the Flat Rock School District as well. And I'm curious, why are we focusing, not just in this district, but throughout the country, the state? But because I'm here, I'm asking you guys, when there is no federal law to teach sex ed, there's no state law to have sexual education. The only mandatory thing that we are to be teaching is HIV, AIDS, and STIs or STDs to our children. And that in itself, I think, needs to be addressed with the law, but that's not why I'm here. Because I think as a nurse, that could be taught in science, what HIV and AIDS is, et cetera. We should be really with our in Taylor District with the test scores, the math scores. I have 2 grandchildren in Taylor. Now, granted, they haven't been here like forever, but they're 9th and 10th grade. They came from Lincoln Park. But their reading level is not where it should be. I homeschooled my other 2 grandkids for a little while with the COVID, which did them wonders. And I know COVID has put a lot of the kids back, so I'm not trying to blame anybody for anything here. I just want to know, why can't we just focus more providing what we have to do under law? I agree with that. And then focusing back on the academics and the sports that our kids really thrive in, and not this sexual education. And again, we can teach them about puberty through the biology. We can teach them about reproduction through science. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things don't have to be set aside and never spoke of, but it's how they're being taught. I hope you guys are really considering this, because this is a really big thing for me and my family. So I am going to be on this and just watching. And all the time that we're putting in to talk about this little board that we're going to get together, y'all, which is great on one hand, but on the other hand, look at all the energy we're putting into something that really, it's just telling us to teach them about HIV, STDs, and AIDS. And check out this. There's no requirement, no hours that are required, no weeks that are required. There is nothing in the law that says that this could not be done by me, a trained RN, in a 3-hour, 1 hour every week for 3 weeks, or 1 hour every week for 6 weeks. It does not have to be this overemphasized thing with these kids as a sexual type thing. And I just kind of want to lay it out for y'all. I'm not here to blame. I'm here to open all of our minds to what the law requires, what our kids need. And Lord knows our kids are so far behind, not just because of, let's just say it, some parents, but COVID really made it a big thing too. Like, we already have problems with homes and parents not doing what they should do. When it comes to education, but then you add the COVID on that. And now we're coming back and we're all trying to get things together these last couple years. And I think there's too much focus on some of the stuff that we don't need to be focused on by the law. So please put your energies into some other things in the more positive in that direction. And maybe we can open that dialogue up more to where we could intertwine that education that's required by law in our sciences, in our biologies, in our health classes, not sex education where they're teaching all that other stuff. Because in that other stuff, it's pretty horrific if you look at it. Like, if you really look at what they have, what Michigan tells us, if the school chooses to teach it, there are rules, which is great, but that's the choice. We have a choice. So let's make the right choice for our kids, okay? I don't really have any questions. Thanks, please.
all right, anyone else?
My name's James Prout. I live in Taylor. I just had a quick question with the survey. Why did it stop at the secondary level? Like, why didn't the elementary students get a voice as well?
Is this your only question or
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're honoring your time?
Yeah.
So it was much like a lot of different things that I've heard when been having this discussion out in the community and you're getting the feedback. You hear a lot about what's age appropriate and where we should draw that boundary and have that discussion. So it simply was on the age appropriate level that secondary students are usually going to be more mature and have that understanding of what we're talking about in that part. That's the only reason. There wasn't any others. I was something else I debated about it going to elementary schools, but that was where the decision was made.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Anybody online? Okay, we have one online.
That's.
Oh,
Good evening. My name is Scott, 9777 McKinley, Taylor, Michigan. Quick question. How would you define quasi-political? I was just curious because there's a lot of different ways that one could define that. It sounds very vague because one could argue that the flag or even the Pledge of Allegiance would be quasi-political, and I just want that to be defined.
So
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Was that it?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting off your time. So the definition of where we've reached with the quasi-political are different symbols that have been made into kind of political symbols over time and through discourse in this country, that they didn't necessarily arise and begin as something that was supposed to be political, but through what's happened, they kind of became that way. And that's kind of the definition that we have used. It's a term that is really used a lot in the legal community. I've attended several sessions in my time as a building administrator where this topic has come up, and it's very often that law firms, lawyers, when they discuss this topic, that is the term they use to define it.
Thank you. I was just curious because that was as I was, looking at the survey, it was something that crossed my mind. So thank you very much for clarifying, and thank you to the board for your time.
Absolutely.
okay.
Cheers.
Anyone else online? No, then we will move on to action items.
Moving on to the action items, number 1, the catastrophic student accident insurance. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the catastrophic accident coverage for all sponsors and supervised student activities in the Taylor School District through Gallagher Trust Life Insurance Company and Hartford Fire Insurance Company in the amount of $35,145.70. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Fields. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Morris. Ms. Fields?
Yes.
Miss Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Madarsky is absent. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt is a yes. Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
That passes 6-0. Number 2 is student reinstatement number 0110012025, policy number 5610.03. The review committee is recommending the Board of Education approve the conditional reinstatement of student number 0110012025. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Morris. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Ms. Moore. I almost said Ms. Fields, sorry. Ms. Moore.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Madarsky is absent. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt is a yes. Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Ms. Fields?
Yes.
That passes 6-0. Number 3, student reinstatement number 0210012025, policy number 5610.03. The review committee is recommending the Board of Education approve the conditional reinstatement of student number 0210012025. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Morris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Moore. Mr. Madarsky is absent. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt is yes. Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Ms. Fields?
No.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
That passes 5-1. Student reinstatement number 03-1001-2025, policy number 5610.03. The review committee is recommending the Board of Education approve the conditional reinstatement of student number 03-1001-2025. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Morris. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Ms. Moore. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt is a yes. Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Ms. Black?
Yes.
Ms. Fields?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Medarsky is absent. That passes 6-0.
Ew. Now we're gonna move on to the superintendent's reports.
Great, thank you, everybody. Couple things I want to touch upon real quickly. I want to talk about the strategic plan, as I've been talking about this a lot in my superintendent's reports. I don't have as detailed an update tonight as I have in others, because we, have had things like count day going on today. We've had these other issues, and so it's something that I haven't had the time to get to a bigger, fuller report on. And I know we've been putting out to the community on the website where we're at in the process. I'm intending on doing that next week as well to give a new one on the website for showing where we're at in the strategic plan. The biggest part of the strategic plan that we did move forward in the last week has to do with some of our onboarding and hiring processes within our school district. And we had a great first committee meeting to look into ways to make it more efficient, different platforms we can use. And I want to thank Mr. John Ross, our IT director, because he brought forward a suggestion about using Frontline for more than just our hiring process. Because currently we use that to take applications in when people are applying for a position, but you can use it for this onboarding. And it, even as we started looking into it deeper, you can use it as the platform for where teacher evaluations are stored. You can use it for a platform for teachers to log their professional development hours and save that in there. So it almost started seeming like we could condense lots of different systems that we've been using in different places and start to house it all in one place. So we're now reaching out to Frontline to come in and give us a presentation to look at what those other capabilities are and what we can bring forward. And ultimately, when we look at possibly putting everything in Frontline, then it also becomes a fiscal issue that we may be able to cut some of these other systems that we do pay for and save some money by having it all stored and housed in one place as well. So that's pretty much the biggest one that we moved forward within this last week. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I know I mentioned in there, one of the things we've been busy working on is count day. Today was count day within the schools. And now that we have those numbers, we now start, or I should say, now that we know who was absent today, we now enter what's called the 10-day window. And in this 10-day window is as students return who are absent, we start to mark and track and make sure that we have them accounted for when we send up our pupil enrollment numbers to the state for our funding. So we're glad everyone attended today. We're glad we went through that process. But today, now we start this next process of recovering and tracking the other students who are out there. And I want to say a quick thank you to Shauna Maynard, our Director of People Accounting. She has done an amazing job of cleaning up the processes. And I hope that the count day process went a lot smoother for our staff today with some of the things she has implemented. She has been working very diligently in that role to clean up some of these things to make life easier, more efficient for everybody. Next item I want to bring forward, we are currently working with Barton Mallow on updating our bond website. When we put out the survey about communication that I know I kind of virtually covered at the last board meeting, but when we put that out there, we did see that there was a need that people want to see what's coming up for the bond. And especially, I think the people who want to see the most updates on the bond aren't necessarily always within our school district, but it's the voters of the community. And that is completely understandable. And we want them to have the most current and up-to-date information. So Barton Mallow, their PR team, has been working with us. We are hoping that within the next week to about week and a half, we will have a relaunched bond website on our page that will be focusing on what our initiatives are, things that have taken place, and have a place for people to submit questions and follow up from there. So I'm really happy with the work we've been putting forward with Barton Mallow to get that back out there.
They've been awesome.
Yes, the next thing that we're gonna be working with Barton Mallow on, as I said, a lot of stuff bond related. It's getting it, we've often struggled with how do we get that communication beyond our own walls? And they have been working, putting together flyers, postcards that we will be sending out to all voters within the Taylor School District with updates on what we're doing. So basically, step one was relaunch our website so people have a place to find this information. Part two is they are going to work with us on getting those mailers out and getting information out to all taxpayers, all the voters within the community, so that people are more informed and ready to make those decisions and know what we're doing here. Because that leads me into my next topic, and that is on transparency. It really has been my goal since I've been in this role as superintendent to raise the level of transparency that has existed with our administration here in the Taylor School District. And I want to say, like, you've seen that through doing the communication survey, you've seen it through changing our communication platforms so that we know that we're hitting more families, that we're getting more information out there. But one of the ways that you truly have transparency within a community is to get feedback and voice of the community. And that's why, like I said, we put out the survey about communication. That's why we put out the surveys regarding the quasi-political symbol policy that we need to create and put forward for adoption. So to me, that ultimate level of transparency, it's not just us sharing everything, that's a part of it, but it's also being willing to listen, take the feedback, and help that drive what our decision making is. And that was the true intent of why we're putting some of this stuff out there. It's to be at that highest level of transparency within our community. Last thing, because this has been my topic for, oh my God, how many months now? The state budget. So I will say this may be the first night where I'm not telling you to go contact your legislators, because we just got word a little bit ago that they are calling session an emergent, well, I wouldn't call it an emergency session, but they're adding a session tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning to finally put in a finalized budget for the state of Michigan. They're expecting that they're going to work on it during the day, and then probably in the evening until the overnight hours is when you'll start actually seeing things get passed and get through. So we're expecting, or at least what the word I'm hearing is, we are expecting that the school aid portion of that budget is going to get voted on tomorrow night. We still haven't seen a full analysis, a full assessment of it, so I can't give a whole lot of details. But in the latest article that I was just sent, it does look like a per pupil foundation allowance of $10,050, which is a increase, which is good for our school district, a substantial increase. It looks like we should still be getting our 31A money, and there should be an increase on our 31A money. Just on a whole, at least for Taylor schools, it does look like it is a pretty good situation for us from what I've seen. Because again, I have not seen all the details, and I can't say that for sure, but I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that what I got sent out tonight is pretty close. Because
What about feeding our kids?
thank you for bringing that up, because that was specified in there that is being committed to in the budget. That yes, the free breakfast and free lunch will be a commitment that the state is keeping. So thank you. I meant to say that one and I almost forgot it. So
Thinking.
all right, and that's everything I got tonight.
That's it? Any questions for Mike? No? Let's move on to the consent agenda.
The consent agenda, policy number 0166.1, policy number 6470, policy number 8640, and policy number 2304. Minutes from the regular board meeting of September 17th, 2025, consolidated items, payment of current bills, certified, non-certified, and administrative reports, out-of-state overnight field trips, out-of-state overnight grant-funded conferences. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Fields. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Westfall. Ms. Shufelt is a yes. Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Ms. Black,
Yes.
Ms. Fields,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Medarsky is absent, Mr. Morris.
Yes.
That passes 6-0.
Item scheduled for the next agenda, which will be Wednesday, October 15th. At this point, we have good news. Sure that will increase in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Do we have any general public comments? People wishing to address anything? Anyone here? Go ahead. Let me just read the bottom portion of this. As mentioned earlier in the meeting, we will now open the floor for general public comment. The same guidelines previously outlined will remain in effect, and any questions at this meeting, Superintendent Wager or his designee will work on getting those answers in a timely manner. We'll begin. Go ahead, Courtney.
Oh, yeah, I have actually a concern, and a question for the board. When is the last time the school district employees have been trained, for ALICE training or any kind of active shooter or lockdown, any of that kind of training? Because I got.
Sure, do you have more
I-
than
I
one
got the-
question?
Yeah, well, I got the boot training back in 2019 from what I'm hearing from other educators.
right.
That's when they got their last training as well.
Okay.
And my daughter's school, Canyon Elementary, had a lockdown the other day. And it was awful. There were children crying. There were my kids calling home. It was terrible. And it was not due to the initial lockdown because everybody was prepared, right? It was that situation that happened afterwards when one of the educators' boot systems got hung up and got stuck. And it then set the alarms off again. And in that situation, that is what actually shows true colors is in an actual emergency, what are people going to do? And it was horrible. And that's what kind of had me start investigating, like when were these teachers even trained in this? And it's not due to their own faults, right? These educators were not trained in it. My daughter has a brand new educator in her school right now, and it's her teacher. She's not new to the district, but she wasn't trained in the whole ALICE training when I had it in 2019 because she wasn't here. So I'm very concerned at the fact that we're getting letters in the mail, letters in our, on our own gun safety in our own homes. But then we have educators who aren't protecting our kids at school. So you want me to protect my child by locking up my firearm. When I've taken a class, I have that firearm because I have the rights to have that. I've taken a class, I've done all my training. I have that in my own home and I teach my child right from wrong when it comes to that. But now I'm sending her to a school that's focused on how I'm holding my firearms in my home, but not focused on training the teachers to ensure that she is safe when she goes into that school building. Because the way that it happens in her school, and that's explained from multiple students, the ALICE training that I had was not followed. There was nothing beyond the, lockdown piece of it. The IC and the E part was gone. Like there was nothing. Her door was left open. Kids were in the bathroom. Kids didn't know how to engage the boot. And again, I've brought this to multiple places and I've asked these questions and the principal had said, it was not supposed to happen. Like the lockdown drill, the second part was an accident. But at the same time, that's what our students had to experience and kids were calling home. Of course, my daughter came home and she, I've talked to her from a parent standpoint on this stuff that's happening in our schools and what happens when these drills, because I was trained, right? So I know what to expect. I told her what she should be expecting. And when she came home, she said that has not happened at all. So what had happened in the school was a lot. There was kids stuck in bathrooms. They didn't lock themselves in. One little girl was crying because she was worried that, she was the one that was going to lock her teacher out of the room because the teacher left her room and she didn't want to lock her out. Like these things were all running through the minds of, 5, 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kids. And my daughter truly came home concerned that if it was a real issue that her teacher would have been left out if they would have engaged the boot like they were supposed to do. And they didn't want to leave their teacher in the hallway. And to me, that's a lot weighing on an 8-year-old to make a decision, in that split second to think do I save my kids or my classmates or do I save my teacher at this point? And then to come home with that question that I'm like, wait, I can't even answer that because that's not what I was trained to do when I was trained on the boot system. So I'm very concerned. That was something that has been weighing on me largely because there was multiple other children involved and there are a lot of parents in outrage about it because kids don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's just
Good.
recent.
This was Tuesday.
Yes, we've got Miss Marshall here that is involved in that.
And I spoke to the resource officer at the high school already, and he kind of laid out the processes there. And I mean, yes, Miss Marshall was who they gave me the person to speak to, and they said it was an internal training that they do to learn these things. But as far as I know what I did when I did the Alice training, and that was training to me. Like, I felt confident walking out of there that, yes, in most situations, as a person, you never know what's going to happen when that situation arises. You can train all day and it's not until that moment happens. But at least I understood and I had that training. And I feel like when I'm speaking to teachers now, they're like, I was never Alice trained. And I'm like, that's huge to think that we have this system in place that's supposed to protect our kids, but nobody can utilize it.
Yep.
And it's not being utilized correctly.
Thank you. That's good information.
No, I appreciate you sharing that
Yep.
concern. I don't have the answers right off the top of my head, but I will be following up with like Miss Marshall and some others and getting the answers for you, but
Okay,
I don't
and-
have them off the top of my head.
I appreciate that. I really feel that some of these kids, it was stressful. And that was that my kid asked to stay home the next day from school because she was panicking and she didn't want it to happen again and she didn't know what to do. And I feel like there's a lot of other children that are in that same spot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 5-year-olds here too.
Yep, well,
so.
thank you for
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
information.
I do want to throw one other clarification because I know you made reference to it. It's state law that we had to share that information about gun safety and the locks and all that. That's not something we chose as a school district. That is something that was mandated by law from the state of Michigan. In case you weren't aware, like that's where that came from. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
James Prout. I wanted to ask, so during that fiasco that we had at Kenyon Elementary, my wife had made contact with multiple people within that school and asked directly to a lot of different people, is there gonna be a boot drill today? Is there gonna be a drill? Is there gonna be a drill? She was blatantly lied to for most of the day. And then on top of that, my daughter came home and dealt with what she dealt with. Luckily, my daughter's not a victim. My daughter was one of the ones that was gonna shut that door.
Yeah.
Because I told her also, you don't sit in the corner either, you get out a window. I don't care what any of you say, a teacher says, run. Don't sit there and wait. You know, is there any process in place where we talk about transparency? Can we get a schedule for these drills?
So yeah, it's one of the
Sorry,
things.
I just came from work, so I didn't even have a chance to
Yeah,
talk to her.
is that your
Yeah.
final question again? I just want to make.
That was the concerning thing, is that she was
You
just
have-
lied to multiple times. The teacher said she confirmed it with Mrs. Sweet. And then she talked to Trish as well, the secretary, and then she also said, no, we're not doing anything like that today. And literally minutes after Trish said no, they did.
Yeah.
We've always kept my daughter home from it.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't need to go through that trauma. She doesn't need to feel like every time she steps into a school, something's gonna happen. I think it's asinine. You know, it's crazy. So to be lied to.
Yeah.
blatantly-
Again, I'd have to look at that because I don't know the full details off my head, but I'll gladly look into that too, yes.
Hi, I'm Amanda Douglas.
Becky, you wanna flip the clock for me? Oh, man, I'm sorry.
I just kind of want to piggyback off the fire drill, because I work at Kenyon as well, and I work in an ASD classroom where we were actually told when we had a fire drill that we did not have to participate in it. And the biggest reason why we were told that is because we didn't have enough hands in our classroom to get all of our kids out and have them in a safe environment. And that's been an ongoing issue in the special education department, especially in my school.
Thank you for adding
Thank you.
that. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just was thinking, you know, the survey that you were speaking of, again, Ginger, we could even do a survey, because it doesn't have to be just me, my son and his wife that think this about the sex ed. We could put it out to the parents of the community and not the taxpayers, but the actual parents, and let them. I mean, when the time comes, I know you guys are really busy, but when that happens, when you get your board together and all that, that would be, I think that'd be a great survey. I would even be willing to volunteer time to help put the survey together, just so you know, if you need any hands or anything.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay,
Is there anyone?
somebody online?
Hello.
Hello. We're here.
Hi. Hi, good evening. My name's Stephanie Smolinski, and I'm a parent of children at Holland Elementary. I just want to share my concern that I believe many parents in the district would have right now. I'm struggling to understand why so much of the district's focus seems to be on social emotional learning surveys and new requirements like expanded sex education, while our students are falling behind in the basics, English and math. My children, along with many others, are not meeting grade level expectations that should be our number one priority. Parents send our As a parent, I send my children to school with the expectation that they will learn fundamental skills that will carry them through life. I am not saying that social emotional development isn't important, but it should not come at the expense of their academics. Our children's futures depend on being able to read at a grade level, solve math problems, and develop critical thinking skills. If we continue to place more emphasis on SEL than academics, we are setting our kids up for long-term struggles, in which I am personally seeing that within my third graders. As a parent, as a parent, I am asking the district to reevaluate its priorities, put academics back into the center, ensure that the teachers are supported in teaching the subjects our children need to be learning and mastering to succeed. Let's address the failing test scores before layering on SEL. Hold on, I'm sorry. This subject really gets to me, and I feel that my children are those that are struggling while other students are being taken care of because of their emotional problems that should be taken care of at home, not in schools. I send my kids to school with confidence that they are going to be learning in school, and my children are learning absolutely nothing. And maybe I'm not directing that question correctly. This is my first time attending a board meeting. I'm sorry, my child. This is my first time attending one of these, and my children have been in Howland Elementary since kindergarten. They're in third grade now with kindergarten reading levels. And my kids come home stressed out that they are not learning. They express this to me on a daily basis. I see the work they're doing. They have IEPs behind them, and nothing's actually working. So I want to know what you guys are actually doing.
Thank you. I don't even know where to begin with that.
Well, I think something we'll have to talk.
I wouldn't expect that.
Let us get back with you on
Yeah.
that one.
Yep.
For sure. Thank you very much for bringing your concern here and,
So when can I expect that will be addressed?
Well, that's something we are going to have to talk about in our administrative cabinet and have those discussions. I can't give you that exact timeline off the top of my head right now, as like I said, that's a very grand look at a different philosophical view. So we have to have some discussions at our level first. But I appreciate you sharing that so that we can have that discussion.
Not a problem, but I'm sure this is not the first time it's been brought up. That's why I'm kind of confused on your answer. I would expect that you guys have an answer immediately.
Well, I know we've introduced a lot of curriculum and new things to help kids that are behind. So let the committee or the administration get together and make decisions about that to bring to us. But again, do appreciate the feedback and the information for sure. Want to know what you're thinking, but I can't answer that right now, and I don't think that anyone up here can.
I mean, are you confused by what I'm bringing up?
No.
No, not at all.
We understand.
Understand completely. And thank you. Are we finished? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board? You ladies just came in. We'll move it. So if you'd like to go up. Okay.
Thank you so much. We actually just got back from a softball game. But hello, my name is Aaliyah Moore and I'm a senior at Taylor High School, and I came here right after a softball game because this is how important the issue is to me. That issue is the quasi-political flags. On September 3rd, my superintendent expressed that who I am is too political, and with that, I agree. Everything is political, from the socks you put on to what you eat in the morning, but quasi-political flags are not something we should be focused on. I have never personally felt that I should be a part of the LGBTQ community or the Black Lives Matter movement when seeing these flags. I've only ever felt welcome. I have seen things on Facebook saying, why is it a vote when it clearly went viral? What about the student that went on the news for the issue at Taylor High School? What about the petition that had over 100 signatures and many people, including staff, protesting the Friday the teachers had taken down the flags? Even if you have conservative views, almost every student at Taylor High School would rather keep the flags and have our school board focus on issues we face as students, such the strict phone policy, the strict bathroom policy, and the staff. Now, I would love to stand here and talk about every issue I named off in detail, but today I would like to focus on, in my opinion, the most pressing issue Taylor High School students face, the faculty. I've never been a sensitive person, and harsh teaching skills have never made me feel a certain way, but this is not the type of issue I'm talking about today. I'm talking about teachers who have tried to have inappropriate interactions with students. I have two examples of this for you with two different teachers.
Yeah.
I have no names involved
Okay,
in this,
make
of
sure.
course.
There's
I
board
respect
policy.
these teachers. I pinky promise no names will be said. I completely understand. I was there on September 3rd here listening to what you guys have to say. I have nothing bad to say. I just wanted to express my opinion. Sorry. Last year, a teacher was suspended for a good amount of time for inappropriate interactions, such as watching students bend down and staring at their breasts. This person no longer works at Taylor High School, but they work at West Middle School per request. The second example, a teacher asked an 11th grade student if he could lick something off of her finger. He was subsequently suspended for 2 weeks. I have one more example that is not as severe, but something that I personally went through, and so did my sister. Recently, me and my sister Alyssa were talking at lunch, and a teacher pulled her out of the lunchroom and yelled in her face so close that she was against the wall in a trash can. And he said that he is not racist and to not call him racist, and that if he did, he would show her who he really is, just because he thought we called him racist. I am not here today to shame the teachers that did this nor pass the blame. I am simply here today to express to the school board why we should not focus on the quasi-political flags that teachers bought with their own money, instead on less strict phone rules, because the reality of the situation is Taylor High School gets multiple threats a year. And some of us are scared that we're not going to get the proper goodbye because we don't have our phones. We can't bring them out. And I would love to sit here and say that I'm not scared to go to school. But I am. It's America, and this is a really big issue that we face. Also, students have to miss lectures to go to the bathroom because we can't go during passing time, during the first 10 minutes, and during the last 10 minutes of class. I am not here today just because of me. I am here on behalf of the hundreds of students who protested on Friday because the teachers had to take down their flags to say, we don't want the teachers to take down their flags. We want to feel safe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can you do me a favor since you spoke? See Becky over there. She'll have you fill out, make sure you have a slip because I know you came in late.
Of course.
So that we can contact if needed.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else online? Sorry. I picked the worst time to ask you, didn't I?
No, we're good.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess for.
And that's it? Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, I still didn't hear.
It hasn't been 30 years, what?
Oh, it's this one, this comment. Okay, let's move on to board member comments. I just have a couple things. I want to remind everybody that Saturday, October 4th, I believe from 10 to 2 at Heritage Park at the large pavilion. It's the 5th annual Busted Stand Up to Bullying event. Join us as we honor, in honor of National Bullying Prevention Month for crafts, book reading, free food, and community. So I wanted to mention that, and I don't recall what the other one was, so I'll move on to anyone else. Anyone else have anything?
Think we're good.
Okay, then we will move on to adjournment. Do I have an motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Stephanie Schufelt. Is there support? Support by Kathy Fields. Westfall,
Yes.
Block,
Here.
Fields,
Yes.
Moore is a yes, Mordarski is absent. Morris,
Yes.
Schufelt.
Yes.
And so that passes 6-0. Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting is officially adjourned at 7:24.